I attend a lot of watch shows, I go to a lot of watch events, and I'm always talking about watches with my friends and people in my watch club. I often see articles and videos about the perfect 3-watch collection under $1,000. And when I watch those videos or read those articles, I always find the watches that are chosen pretty boring. And when I go to these watch shows like Wind Up and Intersect, I actually was at Intersect today, there are not many affordable watches under $300. And on top of that, most of the watches that are in this price range aren't all that interesting. However, today I'm going to give you 3 watches that I think are very interesting. Not only will you find that they are really well made, but also other collectors will notice them and think they are cool. So let's get right into my ultimate 3-watch collection under $1,000 in 2026. So I'm going to start with a watch that I think is one of the best watches that Timex have come out with in a long time. They've recently come out with a watch that I think is probably their best watch of all time, and that is the Titanium Deepwater Reef 200 on a bracelet. However, I think one of their best designed watches that they have ever come out with, and it's a very original design, that is the Timex Marlin Jet. Jet era inspired watch. It is retro futuristic, but there are a ton of details on this watch that make it look really special. And not only that, when collectors see this watch, they are immediately drawn in by it because it looks a lot more expensive than it is, and those little details like I mentioned. It's all those little details that make it look special. So let's start with the crystal. This gets a huge domed acrylic crystal that is really almost like a bubble on the front of the watch. It is very, very large. Inside of that very large bowl-like acrylic crystal, you get an inner bezel. That inner bezel is really not a bezel. It is more of a chapter ring for the dial. And it sits almost vertically. It says Marlin on that chapter ring or bezel, whatever you want to call it. There's lines on it. It looks very Art Deco, retro futuristic. I love it. And then there is a bowl-shaped dial. So it is a curved dial. It's a big bowl shape. The automatic versions get a 24-hour dial at the 9 o'clock position. There is quartz versions as well. Those are slightly less expensive. I highly recommend the automatic versions, which are powered by the Miyota 8 series, which is pretty reliable, and at this price point, very, very warranted, because this is an affordable watch that is very good looking. You have applied indices that are sort of set within that bowl. It looks very good. You have a crosshair, and you get, I think, 50 meters of water resistance. You get to see the movement from the back. It comes on a nylon strap. That's probably my only complaint about this watch. The details on this watch make it look so good. And if you are familiar with Timex, you could go on their website and enter in a new email and you get 15% off. So if you're registering with a new email, that $319 becomes $239 for this watch. The quartz version is $200. Obviously that becomes a lot cheaper if you get the quartz version. I really like both, honestly. The quartz version gets a day date. I like the 24-hour subdial, even though it's probably not as useful as getting the day date. But either way, it's kind of up to you which one you like more. If you want to spend a little bit more, you can get that automatic. You actually get the quartz version for a lot less. Awesome watch, really good looking, and of course it's a Timex. The next watch is from another brand that has always offered extremely good value in their watches, and they have managed to keep this watch affordable. It is the Zealos Swordfish. When I first saw the Swordfish in hand, it was pretty affordable. I think it was sub $300. Nowadays they go for $299, and they are restocked. They are not restocked on a continual basis, so you do need to have a little bit of patience. But if you are patient, you can get these for $299. And you are getting a lot of dive watch for $299 because Zealos offer extremely high quality and really great designs for very good prices. Yes, they make higher end dive watches and higher end watches in general, this is their most affordable watch, and it's a dive watch. You get a fantastic bracelet on these watches. They are a flat link bracelet with on-the-fly micro adjust, solid links, screwed links, quick release, all of the bells and whistles that you would expect from Zealos. Also, the cases are really cool. They're very angular on the Swordfish. I think this is a very good looking dive watch in my opinion. 200 meters of water resistance, sapphire crystal. These get sapphire bezels now. However, they change this from time to time. You might get a ceramic bezel, you might get a meteorite bezel, you might get a sapphire bezel. It all depends on the release. So they are constantly playing with materials. Around $299. They do eventually go up to around $399. Definitely get that early bird special if you want to save that $100. If you want to spend a little bit more, maybe $50 more, you can get a very special dial like a meteorite or something really cool. If you don't, you still get a textured dial. Sometimes you even get some special materials that they sort of mix in and use at these entry level watches. And that is pretty incredible. And usually they are powered by an NH35. So you're getting a workhorse movement in a really nicely designed watch. And by the way, you get a ton of lume when it comes to Zealos. Sometimes they lume the crown, sometimes they don't. It depends on the watch. I believe on the Swordfish they are not lume, but that's really not a big deal because they do not skimp out on the lume on the dial. Sandwich dials with tons of lume chapter rings, lots of lume in the hands. So if you like lume, you're going to love Zealos. Zealos are an exceptional brand, especially at those early bird prices. You're not going to find a better dive watch for $300. Last but not least, and this is a list of 3 really good looking watches, but this could be the best looking watch on this list, and that is saying a lot because the other 2 watches I think are really good looking. This is the Zenshin from Citizen, but it's not any Zenshin. The Zenshin Chronograph is just a really good looking all titanium watch. Not just regular titanium, it's super titanium, so that's grade 2 titanium that gets an extra hard coating. These are eco drive, so technically a solar powered chronograph that is a Panda dial. So they made a few different versions of this. The one that I specifically would pick for a 3-watch collection is the Panda dial because this would be a very good everyday chronograph. These are around 42 millimeters, so they're on the slightly larger side, but I wouldn't call these oversized. They wear really nicely even on smaller wrists. You're getting a textured dial, textured sub dials. Like I said, it is eco drive, so it's powered by any light, and they are just so good looking. I don't really have many complaints about this watch. You even get 100 meters of water resistance, especially for the prices that they are going for right now. So if you want to spend a little bit more money and you want to get it directly from Citizen, that's $500, around $520 right now on their website because they are almost continually on sale on their website. I'll add a link down below if you are interested in this watch and getting it directly from Citizen. If you don't mind getting it from a third party, Joma Shop have these for sale for around $389 right now. So I think that's a really good price for what is an excellent chronograph. Now, if you add this all up, you are under $1,000. If you want to go the extra mile and get it directly from Citizen, that will push you slightly over $1,000, but I highly recommend doing that because you're obviously getting it directly from Citizen. But with that being said, if you want to save a little bit of money, there's nothing wrong with getting it from Joma Shop. And you can get this whole collection that I just mentioned for well under $1,000 if you use that discount code with Timex and you go and buy the Zenshin from Joma Shop. And don't forget to get in on the early bird when it comes to Zealos, specifically on the Swordfish. If you don't do any of that, this still comes in at around $1,000, and I think that is an incredible price for what you are getting. Some really great watches. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What 3-watch collection would you put together if you had $1,000 to spend and you wanted to put some really interesting affordable watches into the collection. I think all three of these watches are not only really good looking, they're really well made, and they are very interesting. If you go out to a meetup, a watch club meetup, or where there's someone who knows about watches, they're going to see one of these watches on your wrist and they will be intrigued because they are so good looking and they look a lot more expensive than they actually are. Tell me what you guys think about my 3-watch collection down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Tell me what you think. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel and I very much appreciate it. Anyway guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video and I'll catch you guys in the next video.